When it comes to predicting what's ahead in the airline industry, travel industry, travel online company Going has made some predictions with an impressive track record, from cheaper flights to the possible return of liquids on planes. Oh my gosh. That
Could you
would
imagine?
be. I can't imagine, Carly. Oh my gosh, this is news to us. Katie Nastro from Going joining us now, breaking down what travelers could expect here in the year ahead. Good morning, Katie. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jane. So good to see you, hear you, and yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. We've got a lot of good predictions in store for the traveling public, I would say, in 2026.
Okay, we need to give a shout out to your CEO, founder and chief flight expert, right? Scott Keys, who
Yes.
in years past has made 10 or true predictions, 10 out of 12 predictions as far as the travel industry goes. So what's the secret sauce there?
Yes, Scott is just a wealth of knowledge, and he really just has his pulse on what's coming next. And there are little clues that we see throughout the year that sort of give us a hint at what's to come. But yeah, he's just sort of nailed it 10 out of 12 times in the last few years. So we feel pretty confident with this list that we're about to talk about. So travelers should definitely, if they have any trips planned in the coming year, should definitely be tuning in.
All right, so we got 12 predictions, 2026. What would you say you're most confident about?
Well, two of them. One is the fact that we are anticipating to see more cheap flights to Japan. We're already seeing some really stellar fares in the last few months, and we're expecting this trend to continue into 2026. Perfect example. Even though we're based on the East Coast, say you stitch together a flight over to LA. From LA to Tokyo, we just found this yesterday in the Going app, $597 round trip. Ooh. Which even if you add a budget carrier flight over to LA, you still are going to be paying far less than what I think a lot of people just estimate what the cost could be to fly somewhere like Tokyo. And Japan in general is super hot right now, and it's going to continue to be super popular throughout the year.
Yeah,
so that's one.
I do. Okay, yeah, go with the other one.
Sorry. I'm just so excited because
I am excited too. Amazing.
We're really anticipating that we're going to see cheap flights or have cheap flights continue into 2026 compared to 2025. Now, the CPI just came out and there was a dip again last December. So, or I should say, the year 2025 ended up lower by roughly 5% than the prior year, so 2024. And so we're anticipating that this streak should continue, even when we see little hiccups here and there, so airfare rising a month or two. We're still anticipating that cheaper flights are in store. We're anticipating for people to travel slightly less than these years coming out of the pandemic, but airlines are still adding capacity to their schedules, meaning that there's more seats available to purchase. And so if those are sort of at odds with each other, they're going in different directions, that just means that there's more opportunity for people to snag some more affordable airfare.
Is that what's driving the savings then? Just less demand?
You know, we actually saw 5 months in 2025 were below. So the volume of people traveling that particular month was actually below 2024. And every year coming out of the pandemic, we saw record-breaking month after month, year after year. 2025, yes, it ended up higher year over year in terms of how many people travel over it all, but only by 0.5%. And so that's really sort of telling that what we're sort of anticipating for 2026. And, you know, last year, specifically when we looked at the summer months, we were seeing such great last minute availability for fares, not just across the country, but to places, super popular places like Europe, during months when we should see super high prices. So we're sort of anticipating that that trend is going to continue. You know, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket and say that we're going to see, you know, just cheap flights bonanzas over the summer, or cheap flight bonanza over the summer, and see last minute cheap flight prices for those sort of last minute time period. But I do want people to sort of be positive and optimistic that we will continue to see these cheaper prices because we're anticipating fewer people travel overall compared to these sort of really record-breaking years.
So, when should travelers think about the best time to book some of these lower fares?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, right now.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think a lot of people get in the habit of looking to book when it's not exactly the best moment to be booking, sort of last minute. Everybody waits to the last minute. We're busy people. But really, right now, if I can impart any takeaway from this conversation, is that people really should be looking to book now for their summer flights as well as spring break, getting sort of that head start on those peak season flights because airfare doesn't work like retail where the bargain bins come out. And also, if you're looking just for a more affordable time of the year to travel in general, trying to travel in January and most of February is actually an opportune time to take advantage of lower airfare as well as lower prices on the ground. If you're looking just to get some sun, for example, from Charlotte, you can fly to Aruba, various dates throughout the next 2 months, 270 round trip, or Cancun, 285 round trip. That's from Charlotte. As well as if you want to take that big bucket list trip out to somewhere in Asia, we're seeing Hong Kong for 752 round trip. That's available in the next few months to take advantage of.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so inviting. Let's talk about, and I love this possibility of bringing liquids back on planes. That's huge news, Katie. What's making this possible?
Yeah, so technology has definitely come a long way since this was implemented decades ago. And so we're making a prediction. We're not stating uncertainty, but we have gotten sort of a glimpse into the future due to the fact that, two separate times, the DHS secretary as well as other officials from TSA have come out and openly stated that they're looking at all facets, all rules specifically going through security and what they can sort of manage better now that we have newer technology, better scanners that can really predict or make better judgments in terms of what's going through security, what exactly that liquid has in it or doesn't have in it. So we're feeling optimistic about this, and we're feeling optimistic about this that it will come, if it does, ahead of the busy summer season. So that's great news for anybody that goes away on vacation, buys a big bottle of sunscreen, and then has to toss it before they make their trip home because they didn't check a bag and couldn't put it in there. Myself included, this happens all the time. I know I'm not alone. Or, maybe you go on that wine tasting trip and you forgot to pack that beautiful bottle of wine that you bought at the vineyard, and you put it in your carry-on, and then you have to toss it, which is sort of heartbreaking when you see that happen in the airport.
Oh, yeah. No, it's totally heartbreaking. And it's still amazing that you see folks having to dump out their water bottles or, these full cans of soda or what have you. It's like, ugh.
Sure.
All right. So that's on the optimistic side.
Yes.
Talk to us about some of maybe the disappointing predictions that we might be seeing here in 26.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to low-cost carriers, specifically looking at Spirit, there is no denying that they're not in the best financial health. We've heard about it in the news twice now, two separate times they've announced bankruptcy. Now, that doesn't mean when an airline announces bankruptcy that they're going to completely fold. There are no flights on the schedule. People are going to be left stranded. But that could happen in the future. Now, the fact that liquidation is a possibility, we're hoping that the next best thing, that would be worst case scenario. Best case scenario for Spirit at this point would potentially be a merger of some sort. And maybe the likes of Frontier, that's also something that has been widely talked about, could in fact purchase them. And there could be now this combination of low-cost carriers in the U.S. We don't love when airlines merge because that actually hurts competition. There's one less airline in the market to be able to provide lower fares and offer competitive rates against these bigger carriers. So the next best thing would, if Spirit doesn't disappear altogether, that would be the worst case scenario, especially for consumers that rely on these super cheap flights, would be to combine with another low-cost carrier and still be able to offer something that's competitive against these legacy carriers so that there is sort of a pull down in the market for consumers. Even if you don't love Spirit, you've had a bad experience with them, you don't want them disappearing altogether because they actually help to keep flights cheap.
And we do have a number of people that have used Spirit here and have really good, if not excellent, experiences with them. So we'll look out and hope for the best for that. Anything else? Any other notables? Because I know we have got the complete list with you ongoing, but any notables for now?
Yeah, I would say, looking at fewer travelers overall, the industry isn't maybe sort of super happy about that, but it's really just a remoderation. We came out of the pandemic, guns blazing. So many people wanted to make up for lost time, go to events, see the family and friends, really take these big bucket list trips. But we're starting to see that roll back. People are going to be a little bit more cost conscious this year. And maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing because you could have more elbow room on flights.
Oh, very good. And so need to book our flights now.
Yes.
And to get some of those low fares. Great to know, Katie. I'm going to be looking at Japan, although I did book my spring trip already. So tapped for a while, but that's all right. Something else to look forward to. Katie Nastro with Going. Thank you so much for those 2026 predictions. Looking forward to what else the travel industry has to hold this year. Awesome.
Thanks so much, Jane. Happy travels, everyone.